Hey everyone, we've all heard that saying, a house is not a home, but what does that really mean? Well, today we're going to dive deep into that very idea with Zan Gaudioso's incredible story from your syllabus. It's all about what gives us that true sense of security and belonging. Is it just the building we live in, or is it something much, much deeper? Let's find out. And this is the big question right at the heart of the story. Is a building really the same thing as a home? We're about to see how a terrible tragedy can strip everything away, only to show what's truly most important in our lives. All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with what makes a home, walk through the story's big moments, dig into the core themes, and then wrap up with some key takeaways to really help you nail your exams. Let's get started. Now, you might think a story like this starts with a huge disaster, right? But actually, it kicks off with a quiet, personal struggle that I think a lot of us can probably relate to. That feeling of being a complete outsider. So picture this. Our narrator has just started high school. It's this massive new place. All his old friends are at a different school, and he just feels totally awkward and alone. He even finds himself going back to visit his old teachers because he misses that connection so much. The thing is, he feels like he's already lost his place in the world long before he ever loses his house. And just when he's struggling with this new, lonely reality, his life gets turned completely upside down in the most dramatic way you can imagine. One Sunday afternoon, his whole world literally goes up in smoke. His house is on fire. He and his mother get out safely, but then his mom rushes back in for important documents. And then, in this moment of pure panic, he tries to run back in to save his cat, but a firefighter has to hold him back. It's just absolute chaos and terror. After the fire is finally out, the narrator is just overwhelmed. And this quote, it perfectly captures how he's feeling. It's not just about the fire. It's the new school, losing his friends, and now the horrifying realization that his beloved cat is missing. Everything hits him all at once. This slide shows us the two sides of his loss, which is super important. On one hand, you've got the material stuff, the clothes, the books, his backpack, all gone. But the real damage? That's internal. He feels like his identity has been stripped away. He's embarrassed, insecure. That's the thing about loss, right? It's not about the objects, it's about what they meant to you. And losing his cat on top of all that, that's what truly breaks him. So he's at his absolute lowest point. It feels like all hope is lost. But then the story takes a turn, and a little glimmer of hope appears from the most unexpected place. So the very next day, he's forced to go to school. He's wearing borrowed clothes, borrowed shoes. He doesn't have a backpack, no books, nothing. He says he feels like a zombie. And this quote, man, it just shows you he's hit rock bottom. He has completely given up. And then something incredible happens. His new schoolmates, people who'd never even talked to him before, they surprise him. Turns out they'd taken up a collection and bought him everything he needed. School supplies, clothes, the whole shebang. But more than that, they start introducing themselves. They invite him to their houses. It was a genuine outpouring of concern, and it just completely blows him away. This single act of kindness is the real game changer. It's the turning point that lets us explore the deeper themes of the story and watch how our narrator really begins to change. So here's the crucial point, the main idea of the whole story. What we learn is that a house is just a building, but a home is something you feel. It's that emotional safety net that's built from love, connection, and the people who truly care about you. You can see his complete transformation right here. This one event made him, as he puts it, stop focusing on my feelings of insecurity and open up to all the wonderful people around me. He goes from being trapped in his own lonely world to being truly connected, building a new life and a new home with new friends. Okay, so that's the story. But how do you take all of this and turn it into great answers for your exams? Let's break down exactly what you need to remember. When you get a question about the narrator's journey, this is your perfect roadmap. Just follow these 5 steps. Start with his loneliness. Describe the double tragedy of the fire and the cat. Highlight that amazing turning point of kindness. Explain how that changed his idea of home. And then wrap it up with his final emotional recovery. And here is a super powerful tool for your written answers. The entire theme of the story boils down to this one contrast: house versus home. A house is just a building that gives you shelter, and in the story, it was destroyed. But a home, that's an emotional feeling of belonging and love, And in the story, it was rebuilt, not with bricks and mortar, but with people. Now, the final piece of the puzzle, the thing that helps him heal completely, comes when a kind stranger returns his cat. And this isn't just about getting a pet back. That cat symbolized his last connection to his old life, his old self. Getting his cat back is what makes him feel whole again. And that brings us to the final, perfect line of the story. When he says, "and so was I," what he really means is that he's finally back. He's recovered from all the loss and insecurity. He feels like himself again, totally grounded and secure in his new life. So, if you remember just one thing from this entire story, let it be this. A true home isn't about what you own or the place you live. It's about the connections we make, the kindness we show each other, and the love that holds us all together, especially when everything else seems to be falling apart. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. The narrator's life wasn't changed by some grand gesture. It was changed because his classmates simply came together to help him out. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How can one small act of kindness in our own lives completely change someone's world? Something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.